I'm your host, Jack, your failure connoisseur, and today my guest is Florian Bodelot. I've definitely pronounced your name wrong there. He is the co-founder of Digidop. He met his co-founder in school, and they thought, wow, there's an opportunity with the no-code space. In France, it wasn't so well known. So they doubled down on a tool called Webflow, which you may have heard of. And since then, they're like a runaway train. These guys are now a Webflow professional partner, client first certified, and in 2023, they won Professional Partner of the Year. The rise has been pretty dramatic for Digidop. After translating client first documentation for FinSuite a couple of years ago, they have seriously leveled up their game, growing a team and doubling down on content creation too. With their own YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, these guys are going in on content, which we'll also talk about today. So, has it all been an easy journey? Of course not. The failures that we'll talk about today are 1. Believing saying no to clients meant losing opportunities. 2. Selling features over benefits. And 3. Forgetting how sport was making Florian a better man. So, welcome to Webflail.
Thank you, Jack, for this introduction, and thank you for having me today.
I'm honored to have you. We have met a few times on our journeys in the Webflow space with Slater when I was working for Edgar Allan and all sorts of different little bits and bobs. But I hope we actually meet in real life this year.
Soon.
I need to come to France now that I'm back in England, pretty close to France. I've got to meet you in real life. But tell me about your relationship with failure.
So we go into it, dive into it.
We're going to go straight in, man. Straight in. What is your
No time to
relationship?
waste.
No, I mean, let's ask the easy questions. What is your relationship with failure?
So my relationship with failure, I think it started like pretty early in my journey, more as a human before like become an entrepreneur. I associate like a lot, and I made a lot of parallel with my background in sports. I was doing like a sport at a competition level, and I do it still. But I always feel like when you put you some goal, like you want to succeed in that way, in that competition, you want to do this performance, and you fail sometimes because sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It drives me to do more, like to assess myself, to say, okay, why I have failed, why I haven't reached my goal, why this didn't happen in the way I was thinking. So I really think like failure is the best way to improve. It's like if you use failure in the right way, it can drive you as fuel.
I love that. Yeah. And I also think with sport, there's very clear winners and losers. And I think that's quite helpful because what you can do is you can objectively say, look, I didn't do as well as, my competition for this reason. And you can kind of analyze week by week as you improve. And I think a lot of the time, like in the Webflow space, you do projects, some don't go so well, some go well, but you're kind of trying to just churn out work, and you're not necessarily reflecting as much as maybe would be healthy to be like, okay, we didn't do this so well. We need to change our systems and processes in order to make sure this never happens again. Or, I think like reflecting is so powerful.
It's so important, and maybe we will go deeper into it like during this hour we will share together, Jack, but you're totally right. In sports, it's like clear. It's failure or it's a success. But in business, in entrepreneurial, in life, sometimes it's really hard to define like, did this was a failure or did this finally lead to something new, which is great? And when you send me like this free question, which was your three biggest failure, I was like, talking a bit with my team. Do you think this is a failure and stuff? And there were debate inside the team. Like, yeah, it was a failure or not, because, if we didn't do that, maybe this will not lead to that. So we will discuss it. And, you have interviewed a lot of people in this great podcast about failure. So maybe you can also share your opinion on it and tell us if you think it was a failure or not, and help us know better about it.
Yeah, I mean, so this is actually a really important thing to bring up at the start of the podcast, that in my opinion, the word failure is quite misleading. I'm asking people for their 3 biggest failures, but ultimately, of course, there's going to be bumps in the road when you're trying to do something difficult. Of course, there's going to be, anxiety, pressure, tension, family problems. There's going to be sacrifices made. There's going to be all sorts of stuff because you're trying to push your comfort zone and do something that is difficult. So the word failure is a bit misleading because I think people think failure is bad, just generally. You're like, ooh, you don't want to fail. You want to be successful. But I think to be successful, you must first be a failure. You must first lose in order to know what winning feels like. If you've never failed, then in my opinion, I think it's quite hard to judge yourself as a success to a certain extent. So yeah, the word failure is quite triggering for some people, I think, because they're like, well, I don't really see these as failures. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the most successful people, they're like, okay, this went wrong. Why did it go wrong? Let's reflect. Let's work out why that happened. And then let's ensure that we can move forward and learn from that. And I think if you look at failure as opportunities to learn, success is just around the corner. That's my theory. I mean, it's not my theory. It's maybe quite obvious to a lot of people like you that have, done something difficult and probably fucked up along the way or messed up or however you want to call it, failed. But, now look at you. You're sat there in your own home studio. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And, I'm really aligned with your definition. I think it's really important, to first, define what you say and share, your thought on it, because I think they are, really two sides. And by first, people, when they fail, sometimes it's hard to self-assess you and recognize, you are the reason of the failure and be honest with yourself. And some people, when they face that, they choose to never push them out the comfort zone because they don't want to feel that again. And there's another way to see the failure, and you are like, okay, I failed because of that, and you express the feeling when you felt something, and when you felt a sensation, okay, felt the win is good, but felt a loss is far deeper. And when you felt the loss, the disappointment of your family, disappointed of people who trust in you, disappointed of yourself, it drives you to do more. And you have to embrace that, You have to embrace this chaos, you have to embrace this pain. And as I say in my introduction, use it as a fuel and not as a things that will break you. Yeah, things that will break you to do it again. And you raised some really interesting stuff in your definition of failure, because you raised the fact that a lot of people maybe think in a negative way, which leads me to the theory. I didn't know if you read this book, but it's happiness advantage, seeing the things with positive mindset and in positive way. And you also raised the word as sacrifice and stuff. A lot of people always talk about sacrifice when you do some strong stuff, some stuff which is tough to do. It's my opinion, it's just lead myself, but I don't think it's really a sacrifice. For me, it's more taking decision. You have your own goal, and if you want to reach that goal, you have to take some decision. And saying no to some stuff, for me, it's not sacrifice, because which is really most important for me, it's my own vision, where I want to reach my goal and how I want to reach that. So I just say, okay, this is a decision. And I try to never think about sacrifice or put that away in my head, because I see it in a negative way. And I have a negative perception of a sacrifice. For me, it's not a positive way of thinking. And I prefer say myself, okay, this is a tough decision, but I will take it because it will help me to reach my final goal.
Yeah, I love that. That's really, really powerful. God, nuggets in the first 8 minutes. Okay. Interesting things you said there, but one of the things you said was, it won't help me reach my goals. You don't want to see sacrifices as sacrifices. You just see it as a necessary thing to do in order to reach what you want to reach. What does success look like for you? What goals are you trying to reach? And can we separate those into personal goals and also Digidop goals as well?
Yeah. 100%. I think it's a bit link, for you introduced very well Digidop, but for those who don't know it, we are a close small remote team who are trying to democratize Webflow around the French speaker community. We do it since 3 years, and I think this mindset of leading, inspiring, empower people, show by example. It's also what I want to reach in my my personal goal. It's a good question, what's your goal? What's really important for you? I've read the book One Thing, which helped me to define my own goal. And I think long-term goal is just to inspire people, sharing, show like I'm a huge believer of hard work. I don't believe that much in talent. I'm more inspired by people who just, do it until they succeed. So I just want to show people like, it's not because you don't have do this school, it's not because you don't have do this, or it's not because you don't have succeed in this that you cannot succeed in the long term. You just have to do it step by step, take the time, put the hard work day after day, and showing by example that you can reach your goal. I think this is my
Beautiful.
final destination, and I would love, to share that in as much as I can. That's why also we are strong on YouTube, and we really love sharing stuff on YouTube. Like we are really like honest and transparent about our content, just because we have nothing to
To hide.
to hide. Like if you have question, ask me the question. I will answer you in the best way I can. I hope it helped. If it didn't help you, I've shared it anyway.
Too bad.
So yeah, too bad. Yeah, too bad.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So it sounds like you've got really strong personal goals about inspiring, educating, and also particularly in France, I've noticed you've got a lot of content. You can speak great English, obviously, but you are choosing to make a lot of content in French, which I think is really, really interesting. So it sounds like you're using Digidop as a vehicle to inspire, educate, democratize Webflow for the French-speaking community as well. It's like living out your personal goals.
Yeah, and yeah, 100% first, like Digidop is my personal goal, like I living the dream. Every day I'm so happy with the work, and that's why, like some people say, why you are always happy on your content, you're always smiling and stuff, just because I'm enjoying the whole process, up and down, I enjoying everything, and I take everything, like I really enjoy all the process. So first, and yeah, it was a strong decision. We speak well in English. The market in English is far bigger. We can reach a lot of more audience if we speak in English. But the thing is, we choose to stick at French content for a couple of reasons. But one is we really like let's take a step back a bit. Webflow, to make it short, it changed my life, and not just my life. It changed our life, Thomas and I, because we built a business on it. And after, it changed many lives because we have a team right now, so they are getting paid every month thanks to Webflow. We are also changing life of our clients because they get more leads from their website. So Webflow changed a lot of lives, not just mine. And when we discovered these tools, we were like, whoa, we don't know any, like we just finished school and we don't know anything about this market, but this market has strong leverage. And we were thinking we can also like share this power in a way, like the power of changing life to some people. And if we do it in English, it's not the same value because a lot of people already do it very well in English. Like, you have Flux, you have FinSuite, you have a lot of actors, you have Arno Ross, Timothy Ricks, a lot of actors who showcase the way like you can use Webflow to change your life. But at this time, there were nobody doing it in French. So we say, okay, so it's a mess for the French speaker only, because a lot of people are French speaker only, because maybe they miss an opportunity which going to lead to, as us, change their life. So we want to be impactful. We don't want to just be driven by data, and followers and stuff. We want to have an impact, which drives us to stick at doing it in French. And a lot of time we just, take a step back and say, okay, what was our goal? Where we are like the more impactful. And so we decide to don't follow like the mainstream thing and stick at our belief and do it in French.
Beautiful. And I also think that from the perspective of not just impacting other people, in your community and helping like the Francophone community, which frankly doesn't have a lot of French speaking Webflow content. Like there isn't a lot of different language content for Webflow generally. But yeah, in France, I think you're one of the few people that are creating French Webflow content. But then it also has an impact for you as a business as well. Like, the content creation that you guys are doing, I'd imagine is getting leads from YouTube. You've got an incredible blog. Tell me a little bit about how it's impacting your business as well, because I think a lot of people might be overlooking the power of content creation for their Webflow agency or freelancer business.
The impact is huge. The impact is really huge. First, if someone asks me like, okay, what's your advice before like launching freelance career, before launching an agency, before like my first advice will be go content first. Go content first. So to answer your question, and feel free to ask me any question, Jack, if you want to go deeper into like one topic. First, the content creation lead to a lot of leads. Historically, we never ever have make one outbound prospection for clients. So all our acquisition since 3 years, it's 100% inbound. So it's at the earth of the company health, because we never count on anything else than that. You mentioned the blog. We split our content creation step by step. So when we start doing content, we noticed that there were nobody into the SEO game around Webflow in France. So we go strong on the blog, like that we take all the position on Google, and which leads like to 80% of acquisition at first. 80%, maybe a bit more, was from like, request like Webflow agency, how to do that on Webflow and stuff from our blog, which leads to our first year acquisition, leading to new project, leading to start hiring a team. After we start like diversify the content creation, we start being really really strong on YouTube. Look, YouTube is a long term game, but it's a very powerful tool to build your brand, which leads to today. It doesn't lead just to lead; it also lead to people who know us because they follow our content, and they can like start a human relationship between the lead and us, because they want to work with us, because they've seen us not just into like our Webflow, into Figma, into what we do in terms of content, but also in more personal way, because we share some vlog, we share some stuff about how we grow the company, some just human stuff to humanize the brand. And after we use also like social media as LinkedIn a lot to generate lead and stuff. So yeah, content creation was and still the big lead generation for Digidop.
And what's amazing as well is that there's a compound effect.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for
Yeah.
years, right? So there might be a video that you made, 2 years ago, which might be getting leads still. And that's, for me, it's just like the wildest thing, because if you're trying to individually pitch for projects, that takes so much time per one pitch, and it has to be
Exactly.
like, I mean, you might get it, you might not. But whereas if it's just like, I want to work with Digidop because I like them, I know them, I trust them. Like, they've got a ton of useful content. I know exactly who I'll be working with. I know what team members I'm going to be working with. I know how old they are. I know what, they've won awards. They've done this video about going to Webflow Conf. Like, that is just the impact of that over the long term, when you consistently do that, is just huge. And it's really interesting that you dominated SEO in France for Webflow, because you were just like, there's no one really competing here. I mean, we can just focus on this.
Yeah, this is what I say always to the team, like timing is everything. Like you should follow the timing, and when you have like an opportunity, just jump into it and don't ask you many questions. Just do it when it's the right time to do it. And we have seen Webflow. Okay, nobody is very deep in Webflow, but there are like a huge potential. Let's go into it. Nobody is in the SEO game, so let's go into it. And like you raised me some good stuff about the content. I want to just go a bit deeper into it, because it's really important. We talk about lead in the long term. First, you are totally right, which means like when you as training, when I was at school, I was more focused on sales. I was like a salesperson. But when you sales to someone, as you say, you sales one time. But when you do a video, you do exactly the same as a sales pitch, but you do it maybe for 10 years into thousand and thousand and thousand of lead in the meantime, which is crazy. It's the only way to sell when you sleep, because if not, like your time is limited day by day. So this is like first a very, very strong asset in terms of selling, but not just selling. A lot of people struggling about hiring, by example. But when you do content, it's also far easier to hire, because people want to join your journey, because they want to share with you
They're
like
seeing it.
like the adventure, like they saw the adventures, they saw everything about that. And you mentioned the fact that like your content will be impactful for years, which is right. And this is why I really love YouTube. It's the only platform like your content is stick for years, and like your video will be still pushing for years and years, contrary to like some other social media platform as LinkedIn. which is like really temporary effect. And also it brings a lot of memory, like launching your company, launching anyway, like whatever you do, it's just all about the journey, all about the adventure. And when you watch at your video you do like 2 years ago, you are like
You're like,
why we do that in that way? Oh my god, it's a piece of shit and stuff, which first leads you to assess yourself. Okay, I've gone on that. This was I have like improving that, which is good, but also in good memories. And we start having this effect. Like sometimes with Thomas, we just watch like our vlog we do like 6 months ago or 1 year ago, and we're like, oh, it was a good memory, it was a good time, and we have a lot of fun at watching it. But also in the team, like a lot of people like joke around that. Like when we take like an old video, if you go into the YouTube channel of Digidop, we never delete like the first video, which is really bad quality. It's like it's like bad. It was our first video edition, but we think it's important to keep it as first to remember, and also to show people like we start from here, nothing to hide. Everybody will start from something, so you have to start from something. Just do it, and step by step you will self-asset your content and grow up. And
I really like how you said as well, though, that like, you've focused on SEO, you've focused on a lot of different channels, it seems, but you've added those channels gradually depending on, your team, what resources you have as well.
Exactly.
But the barrier to entry to create content is so low. I think as a result, the average piece of content that people put out is also really low. Like if the barrier to entry is so low, then the quality of content is generally like the average quality of content is pretty, like it's very easy to be in the top 20% of Webflow content creators, in my opinion. And yeah, I think it's just a really, really exciting opportunity for people to think about, because the people are like, how do I get clients? How do I get clients? Maybe the best way to sell would be not to sell and actually try and educate people. And if you're educating people, then, they're going to see value in that. And they're going to be like, if they're typing in, how do I integrate MailChimp with Webflow?
Yeah.
And you've got a killer piece of content about that, whether that's in a blog format, video format, social media, like carousel, I don't know. It's all good stuff. So I just think it's really, really powerful to think about like that.
Yeah, you reach some really important points. Like first is a lot of people are too focused on the sales part and not on the marketing part. But marketing works with sales. Like I'm a huge believer into like the power of marketing. And once again, like I remember my first internship when I was in business school. I was a seller, and the marketing of the product was so good. I didn't have to sell. I was coming into my lead and say, "Hey, I'm the seller from this product," and everybody were like, "I need this product," because the marketing was so good. I didn't need to sell. For me, it was like a revelation, like how powerful is marketing and how it helped after like the sales to close. And also you have to asset your team. Like your team is really important when you start doing content, and you have to asset like, okay, which is better in doing that way, and like that you can split. When we are just 2 or 3, we are focused on the blog. Right now we are like a bigger team. We can say, okay, like by example, you can focus on this, you can focus on this, and everybody can split a bit his content creation to be like everywhere. And which I think is also really important. It's like to split your strategy by social media. By example, use LinkedIn in the business lead magnet process. Use YouTube to educate, inspire, and grow your brand. Use like Twitter. It was one of my failure, I think. I didn't notice. I didn't put that, but I should start like Twitter far like before.
Sooner.
Yeah, far sooner, because I think it's the most relationship builder platform. I have really the feeling that on Twitter you can build strong relationship without meeting people, and in a quite easy way. Like take the example of us together, like right now, Jack. Maybe if we didn't reach each other on Twitter, maybe this podcast would never, be done or be live today. And we've been active on Twitter since just few months, and the results are so big in terms of building business relationship. So each platform has its own objective. You need to understand it and use it in the right way. And after, you have, like you mentioned also before, like Instagram and TikTok. Actually, we use more this platform as a content diffusion, like to reach to push on the other platform, more than having like a real strong strategy. Just because TikTok, we didn't find the real value for our agency right now. We struggle with that a bit. And Instagram, we use it just as a mix to build a bit the brand, diffuse a bit the content, share some nice pic and nice memory with the team.
Awesome. Really important message there that you said loads of different stuff, but one thing is that depending on how big your team is, maybe starting narrow to start with content in terms of, maybe one medium on one channel is a good start, and then going wider as your team allows it to, but also understanding that each platform is slightly different. I mean, it's not like all social media. The word social media is like, they're all social. Well, they're not actually all even social, and how you socialize in one. It's a little bit like, if you're a comedian and you go and do the same set at a funeral versus a wedding, that's going to be a very different reception. You can't just copy and paste that same set. That was the weirdest metaphor I could have used. But anyway, you just need to be conscious that people behave differently on different platforms, and also, how you approach, or how the goal that you're trying to, get from being on that platform might differ. This is all interesting stuff, but are you ready to talk about your failures, Florian?
Let's go dive into it.
Let's go. Okay, tell me about failure number 1. Believing saying no to clients meant losing opportunities.
Yes, let's go on to this one. So first, when we launch Digidop, which is important, let me just go back a bit on the history. Like when we launched Digidop, initially we want to launch a business. We didn't want to launch a Webflow business or something special. We want to launch a business. We just finished school and want to become entrepreneur as soon as possible. And to do this business, we need a website, we need to find clients, we need to do some marketing. We discover like the no-code tools. So when we discover this no-code universe and ecosystem, we're like, okay, there's like something huge into it. And when we start building our website and stuff, we say, okay, there are huge thing into Webflow and stuff. And we start positioning, okay, we should forget about this business idea and become like a no-code agency. So we become a no-code agency and we start having our first clients. So our first clients come and we say, okay, we do no-code. So, we can do like HR for you, lead magnet. We can do like outbound, CRM. We can do like website. We can do everything with no-code tools. We have like a lot of idea and we are going to revolutionize your company. And as an entrepreneur, when you have like your first lead, you don't want to say no because you are like, if I say no, I will lose the deal. If I say no, I will lose this opportunity. If I say no, I will lose some money. So you say yes to everything. So the client say, okay, and I also need that. Yes, we have a solution. Yeah. Okay. Which leads us to, like being in a long-term process with the client because which is really important for us is like to have like our clients 100% satisfied, and so to satisfy all his needs because we say yes to everything. It takes months. It takes months. We need to learn every tool. We need to be just good because you cannot be expert in every tool, but just be enough good in any tool to try to to reach his need. And it was like we cannot talk about like profitability or margin or stuff because we spent so many hours for just trying to do everything. And it was like or 2, 3 first clients we do that. And after, like, hopefully we decide to become like just a Webflow focused agency and learn to say, okay, that we are like good in it and we can help many business with these things. And we were like nicely advised at this time, like by someone who always says to us, be more focused, you're too large. And we were like, oh, right now we are just a Webflow agency, we are not that large. And they say, yeah, you are too large, become more niche, be more specialized. And it was like the best advice we can have. And so we decide to take some expertise into Webflow. Like Webflow is a huge tool, and we just decide to, okay, so we are a Webflow agency, but we are a Webflow agency expert on building marketing website for marketing team with like CMS first, like mindset, and be really strong on SEO best practice. And by choosing several expertise, like you become the top 20% of SEO and Webflow, top 20% of Webflow and CMS, and top 20% into like understanding the marketing needs of a team and building a Webflow in that way. And when you combine this, you are like the right person for these needs. And when we do that, we start having a lot of lead. We start having a lot of lead who ask for that. And we just tell them after it, like it was a bit of a couple of months, but we say, no, we do that. No, we don't 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 do that. And they're like, okay. Thanks for being honest. Okay. But I know, yes, we can do that. Okay. I know you are really expert on that. And I will find another partner for like the rest of the deal, but I really want you on that because I know you are like the right expert on that. which lead us to have like clients who are like more happy with our work, which lead us to have some time to go deeper into just one expertise, like based on the T-shaped model, and be really deep into like one expertise and just an overview on the other expertise, and reach our increase our profitability and stuff.
Makes a ton of sense. This is a very common one that people talk about on the podcast. They're like, I did everything for everyone, and then they kind of go narrow, 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 and actually they become, from being generalists, they become experts. And I think that's the interesting thing, is that, like you say, if you're only doing one tool, then that means that, or like one specific, use case for that one specific tool, you become great at that thing and you become known for that thing, and then people want to work with you even though there are cheaper options out there. They're just like, no, I know that these guys are the guys that I want to work with.
Yeah, because you become the safe bet. And if you want to reach like enterprise level clients, you need to become the safe bet, which is really important. And you reach the fact that a lot of people like understanding that, and to extend it a bit, not just into our lead, to extend it a bit, it was like in our hiring process, it was the same. Like at the beginning, by example, when we hire like a designer, we ask him to understand SEO. We start by teaching him Webflow. We start to put into his mind, okay, you will need to learn Webflow soon and become like a UX designer and developer and stuff. And finally, we just discovered it was not the right option, and we really right now focus on, okay, you will be like really strong on become like a UX designer. You are going to be really strong on become a UI designer and be really the expert on UI. You are going to be really strong on product. You are going to be really strong on Webflow and JavaScript. And we do that right now with all the team. We ask them to have an overview knowledge about the business, the SEO, all the stuff which going into like the web design. But after, we try to find in each people of the team one strong expertise and really go deep into it and learn to say no to other stuff, like which not lead to become like really, really the expert into this domain. And this is how we build the company right now. And I think, like this reflection, and in a more global way, as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to say no a lot. Like a lot. We were talking about decision before, and sacrifice and stuff. You have to say no to a lot of things. If you want to reach your goal, and if you're like, you introduce me. I don't know if I can tell that, but you want to launch your own agency, Jack. You will see, like there will have a lot of stuff that if you want to reach your goal, you will need to change in your life, and which means to say no, and say no to some stuff, which means you have more time and you focus your time on other stuff who are like maybe better and maybe more important for you in the long term.
Definitely. So if there's a Webflower that's listening to this, they might be a freelancer who's doing everything for everyone. And they're like, Florian, it sounds like I should niche. How do they choose what niche to pursue?
I have a great video on our YouTube channel on that. So we will put the link into the podcast.
The link will be here. Yeah.
No, so first, try to understand why you should do that. It's important. You mentioned the freelancer. We are an agency. A lot of freelance reach out of us, like, okay, do you outsource some work to freelance and stuff? We don't do that. We never work with some freelance because we have like an intern team, and we sell ourselves like as an agency team member only. But if we hire some freelance, be sure it will be based on one particular expertise. We will never hire a freelancer who is good at everything, because we don't believe in the process. And if we need something, it will be like really precise. So I really think if you want to, as Jack say, like being recognized, like being associated to this expertise and being the guy when we talk about it, you should niche yourself into something. After, like how to decide, how to choose. First, I think today niching in one niche is not enough, because we can say, like by example, Webflow is a niche. Like Webflow is a small market. Webflow, being a Webflow expert, is a niche. It's not. There are a lot of competition. The more niche you add, the more you are going to be like the expert. Yeah, the guy. We mentioned the Digidop example at the beginning. We take some niche. We are Webflow plus CMS plus SEO plus marketing, how to build the CMS for marketing team. So which means like when people come and say, I want to know our website, I want an animation website and stuff, we say, no, we don't do that. We are not the guy who do that. Let's see another agency. And we are really focused on that. So second, why we should why we choose that, it's important. First, we choose that because we see value in this market. We see value in terms of like saying to a client, when you build a website with SEO, you can say, okay, like you can ask question about like how many lead your website generate each month, how many visitor do you have, and like clients can see like value into your work. And third, I think you should let's add two more. Let's add two more. The third one is first you need to be good at it and enjoy it. Like we are really SEO lover, we are really marketing lover, we are like we really like the engineering process between build CMS first, and we have a lot of fun building in that way, which leads to be more happy at your work every day and want to go deeper into it. I think it's really important. If you don't like what you do, if you don't enjoy the process, it will be a long journey. So you have to enjoy it, you have to like it, and you have to be good at it. So self-asset, we talked about it in the beginning. Asset yourself, know where you are good or not. And third, or last, I don't know if it was the third or the fourth, you have to be honest with the competition, especially if it's the beginning. If you have like big competitor who are running on that, maybe try to like asset a bit of okay, maybe I should take another niche because there are not too many people into this market right now. We talk about like the red ocean theory and the blue ocean theory. Maybe create your own niche, create your own market. At the beginning it's a bit easier, or choose the hard way and go where there are like strong big fish.
Yeah, try and be everything for everyone. That's a good idea. No, okay, recap. What you said there was really, really powerful. So, one, I think the main thing for me is to enjoy, if you find yourself enjoying something and other people are like, I hate that thing, that's a really good indication that, you are the guy for this thing, guy or girl. So I think that's really, really important. The second thing that you talked about there was competition. Assess, how busy is the market for spline integrations with Webflow? Oh, there's only 2 people in it. Maybe that's an interesting route to explore. And then you also talked about there when you hire people and even people within your agency, you want them to be the person for that thing. So make sure you position yourself as that. Don't say, I'm the spline and Webflow guy, but I also do SEO, marketing, outbound, Google ads. Like, no, that's not what maybe when people come through the door and they say, by the way, we want to do some paid ads with this. Okay, fine. But they're not going to come through the door unless you've actually got that thing that they see you as an expert in. So that's really, really powerful to think about. And even as an agency, these guys are doing this. So you might be like, oh, well, agencies, they do all sorts of things. Well, even agencies are thinking about niching. So if you're a Webflower that's just like, I do websites for anyone, just think it might be easier to get clients and run a business and know who you're marketing to as much as who knows you for the thing that you do. Creating content, you know exactly what the pain points are,
Exactly.
because you've got, it aligns. It aligns. I'm super passionate about this because I've worked for agencies that don't know what they do or who they do it for. And it drives me insane as someone that's tried to do marketing for them because it's impossible.
Yeah, and you raised some really, really powerful point with the pain point. And I think like we have an example into like the Webflow industry where I think everybody know when you are into the Webflow game. It's like Redum. Redum was really, really smart because they launch an agency first, so they understand like all the needs of the clients, but also all the pain points into like building an agency and growing up an agency. And by doing that, they can like niche their product into like a specific needs, like really strong product, really understanding product. And we talk a lot right now about expertise, about like, you mentioned Spline, you mentioned 3D, we mentioned animation, you mentioned SEO, but you can also like focus yourself on like an industry. By example, if you are like a 10 years experience into this industry, maybe you really know like what's the pain point of this industry in terms of web, in terms of like, all the stuff around web design, and you can really build a strong niche into it.
I know a guy who's doing Webflow websites for chemical engineering plants. Right? I mean, because he was a chemical engineer and he has contacts in that industry and he's done websites to start. And it's like, yeah, it sounds kind of insane. But for him, it makes a ton of sense because that's where he's got leverage. Think about where you have leverage from your
Yeah.
life experience. Okay, I feel like this has become like a huge part of the podcast. Someone told me the other day, they were like, Jack, you talk about niching too much on this podcast. But frankly, a lot of the people that come on the podcast want to talk about the failures that they had, which include going too wide too early.
Yeah.
So, hey, don't hate me, listener. I promise that this is an important thing to think about. Tell me about failure number 2, selling features over benefits.
This is a big deal, and I think to give a bit of context first, and I think I still do it a bit. Like in the first part, I say we sell Webflow plus SEO, Webflow plus CMS, Webflow plus marketing. But this means nothing, for a client who don't visualize like the effect, it means nothing. And since our day one, we were like so focused on Webflow, so focused on make people understand Webflow that we just selling features, which means like a clients come and we say, yeah, we can say you Webflow is great for you because they have like a CMS. Okay, but what's a CMS? What's means for me like a daily? Like you should sell the benefits, like the benefits of like creating a lot of page in a very few minutes and without any like development knowledge. Talking about SEO. Oh yeah, we sell SEO best practice. Yeah, but SEO best practice means nothing, for our clients. If we say to a client, yeah, we can build for you a website which will increase your traffic by 10 per month, and you will have like 10 more like multiplication by 10. I don't know the word in English exactly. Clients per month, and yeah, you should like really understand like your benefits and the proposition value, because we were so focused on that we compete, like people discuss with us like our proposal or business proposal in terms of, okay, we are going to negotiate like per page, per section, per things. It was not the right, in our opinion, so it was not the right way to sell. Right now we sell in a way like, okay, you will have a team. We are going to team with you. So you will have like a one web designer, one developer, one project manager. And as a team, we are going to build the solution for your business for reaching this or this goal. Some company have the goal to hire more people. Some company have, they want to build like a notoriety website, which helps their branding. Some people want to have some lead. And we are like, we don't sell project by page. We don't sell like, okay, you will have like 10 collection, 15 page and 2 animation. We are going to deliver a solution, and for that we are all on the same table and working into it. And we are really focused on the solution, the benefits we are going to deliver, and it permits us to value also our marketing vision, value also like the reflection, the different, I know the word in English, but the different meeting we are going to do with the marketing team to, lead to some nice solution. And most of the time, like people come and say, okay, I want a 10-page website. And maybe at the end, we will just deliver them a 2-page website. And they are fine with that, because if it was the right solution for them, it's the right solution. If you are focused on selling the features, people will say, okay, you sell me like a free animation and there are just 2 animation. And you're like, yeah, but you don't need it, it will, yeah, but I've paid for, so I want that. And it's not, it was not the right way, in our opinion. And we still have like a lot of our marketing, which is based on how to really technical, really like selling the features over the benefits. We're trying to readapt it step by step, but it's a long-term process. Yeah, and it's also still, because like right now I choose it as a failure. We see it as a failure, but it's still a strong debate into the Digidop team, because we are like, okay, but at the beginning of Digidop, nobody is no Webflow. So if we don't sell the features, like nobody maybe will trust Webflow in France. And because of that, we have to first showcase like the features of the tools before showcase the benefits. But we don't know. We still don't know if it was like a right move or not a right move. Yeah, it's really hard to self-assess that. I would love to have your opinion on that.
Ooh, okay. This is a hot topic. So let's just first rewind and say that if you lead with the benefits, then people will be interested in the features. Here's my 2 cents on this, is that a lot of people in the Webflow space right now, I notice, are releasing tools. And they just say, this is the A/B testing tool for Webflowers, right? A lot of Webflowers haven't necessarily come from a dev background. They might be more designers. There's a lot of marketing teams that use Webflow. I mean, hopefully they know what A/B testing is. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of different people using Webflow. There's all sorts of, CEOs, CFOs, whatever. And I think if I don't know what the problem that's being solved of that A/B testing tool, then you've lost me like straight away. And I think it would be way better to be like, objectively test your website to increase conversions with this tool. Okay, maybe that's not very catchy, but my point is that I've led with the benefit of the tool, and then you can talk about how, you can A/B test on, the copywriting or the colors, and you can do it by page or whatever. But I just think that a lot of the time people talk about Webflow so much that like clients aren't necessarily already aware that they need a Webflow website. They just know that their marketing team needs to be able to easily manage the CMS, and they're paying a developer hundreds of dollars every single time they need something simple changed. That's their problem. So if you focus on that problem being solved and then presenting Webflow as part of that solution, then Webflow is kind of a no-brainer. But I have heard different opinions about this. Jacob Sussman runs BX Studio, and he tells me that he is all in on Webflow, like Webflow development, right? So if anyone is looking for Webflow anything, like searching for WordPress to Webflow migration, whatever, he wants to be on page one of Google. That he wants to own Webflow. He is the Webflow agency, does Webflow websites, does Webflow marketing websites, Webflow SaaS websites. Like, he's the guy for Webflow specifically. And as a result, people come to him because he's the Webflow guy, right? Like, he's the Webflow agency. They built the Headspace website with Webflow. And then on the other side of things, there's a woman called Sylvia Lee Sam who built Slam Media Labs, who I interviewed, and she was like, we don't talk about Webflow that much. We talk about the problems and the pain points that people are having, and talk about the benefits of working with us, which includes working with Webflow. So I don't know if there's necessarily like a right answer here. I think what needs to be determined, though, is what you particularly want to be known for. And again, coming back to the stuff that we talked about, like, what are people searching for? If you want to be found through organic search, then maybe thinking about like specific, I don't know, WordPress to Webflow migration. Like, maybe then thinking about how you set up your page accordingly. Having said that, though, I think when it comes to actually getting on a call with someone, talking way more about the benefits rather than the features is really important. Like, you're essentially educating them about how you can help them solve the pain points that they have. And as a result, I think that's going to sell Webflow itself. So yeah, I don't know. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it is. But what's first helpful is like we are not the only one to struggle with this question. Like, do we should sell more features or should sell more like the benefits? And if I think the Jacob strategy is right in a way. Like the way, like for sure, like you will be well recognized because you are talking technically. But if we want to talk about, like, let me just dive into like another like perspective a bit. It's like, I have the feeling when you are like really technical, which was our strategy, I think we have exactly the same strategy as Jacob, but in France, like, people can really compare you with like a lot of people into the market, because it's feature based, like how much it costs with you to do that, because development is really mathematic. So if the other like agency can propose at the same price or at the lower price, which is your difference? And I have the feeling like it raised a bit when you are like too focused on the feature. It raised the price a bit, to lower and lower. Like you lose a bit of the power of like selling with a higher profit and higher margin, rather than when you sell over like a value benefits and include like the design process, like the reflection into it and stuff. And you can see that we have a lot of people who come to us and say, okay, I've paid that like thousands and thousands of dollars of euros for a website built on WordPress, which is not really deep into technique, and they pay a lot of money, and they say, okay, because we come on Webflow and it's a no-code tool and it's an easy tool, which I don't, I have some theory about what people think about that, but which is not true. They say, okay, because I have paid this amount for WordPress, I will not pay that amount for Webflow. For sure, I will pay at least 2 or 3 less. But like Webflow, it's more technical than WordPress in a lot of ways. It's more powerful than WordPress in a lot of ways. So yeah,
I think it slightly depends on your business model. As well, though, because if you're trying to do, say you're trying to do websites really quickly and you want to be known as the Webflow agency that does really fast websites. You have a lot of Webflow templates that you edit, and it means that you can get websites done in less than a week for people. If that's your USP, then I think it makes sense doubling down on Webflow maybe as a platform, because it's like there's the template library and we can do clonables and we can have components that we can easily drag and drop and and you can talk about Rayloom and maybe partner with Rayloom, and like there's tons of different ways that I think that could play out. But yes, this is a very spicy topic, which I am sure people might talk about on Twitter after we release this episode. So jump in on Twitter, send me a DM with a hate message or Florian, and we can decide, individually. Maybe there's no one right answer, but it just depends on what your overall outcome, what your overall goals are, and then determining which is the best course of action.
Marketing importance once again. Like I think you mentioned it well. You should have like a marketing vision, a marketing position yourself, and stick your strategy and follow this position.
Yeah, like it's kind of like I'm going to the gym at the moment, Florian. I'm not sure if you can tell. No, you can't, because I haven't been for a few weeks. But there's the idea with training, I found out, is that you want to look at where you want to be in 16 weeks or a year or whatever, and then you work backwards. And I think vice versa, whether you're like, I want to focus on Webflow and double down on that being my niche or whatever, I think it's better to be like, okay, where do I want to be? What do I want to be known for? And then kind of work back from there. Okay, tell me about failure number 3, forgetting how sport was making you a better man.
Yeah, I think it's an important one. I've talked a lot about like Digidop and the decision we take like as a team and stuff, and I didn't go a lot into it. Like I didn't do a lot of content around it, but it was a big one. I think it was by far my biggest mistake when we launched Digidop. I was like someone who are like really into the sport mindset. I was like doing a lot of competition and really focused on that. And when we launched Digidop, I started discover Webflow, I started discover all the entrepreneurship game, and I become like a geek into this game. Like first I often compare Webflow as a game because like you want to build something, it's look like gaming, and I was like really becoming a geek into like gaming into Webflow and also gaming into like building your own company. And so I was just focused on doing that, and by doing that I start skipping the gym, I start skipping my training, I start skipping taking care of myself in some way. And I was at this time like I think really a good performer in terms of how I can, be productive without not sleeping that much, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't feel and I didn't sense like day by day, I was getting weaker in a lot of way. Like I getting weaker because I missed something, I missed something. And when, it's doing it day by day, you didn't feel it really. I don't know if it's really clear. Feel free to ask me question about that, Jackie, if you think it's needed. But I think the most important part is like knowing what's drive you, what's make you like happy of what you've accomplished this day, and like when you are like really strong into the sport, it leads you also to be more productive, to be more energetic, to having the right things and doing the things in the right way, being a better person. I say a better man because I think it's like not just around business. I think you are like in a better mood, you have like better relationship, you have like overall you are like a better person. And I think I was losing that step by step without really visualize it. And when I just one time get back to sport, I just realized, oh my God, it was so important to me. And I've learned so much from that. When I go it again and I just feel again this sensation, I just have the feeling that okay, I have messed up on that too many times. It's really important to me to push myself to start to compete again. And I'm feeling so much more productive right now as a business owner and stuff by being more focused on my health, on sports, and how I feed myself and how I sleep, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I think this is a common problem when people kind of go down the entrepreneurial route, because you're also, I don't know if you find this, but I find that my YouTube algorithm and like my social media and stuff, like if I start following someone who is entrepreneurial, in air quotes, then I'll get recommended other stuff.
Yeah.
And it often gets more and more extreme. I'll get like the hustle grind, wake up at 5 a.m., you piece of shit type people. And then I think you kind of get your blinkers on a little bit, because you might be like, oh, I've got to, like, when I'm not working, I feel guilty. And, it's really going to the gym or playing football or whatever, a good use of my time, like whatever. And actually, it's so toxic. It's so much healthier to take an hour and just like get in nature and like all the stuff we've been doing for millennia, like to actually just recognize that that's an important part of being a human and being productive as well off the back of that. Like, it's not like the more hours you work, the more work that you get done necessarily. And it's too obvious to say, but I think we need to remind ourselves this constantly, because I think there are people that, are telling you, if you're not getting up early, then you're a piece of shit. Or, if you're not going for a marathon every day, then actually people aren't saying that. But if you're not if you're not if you're not hustling, if you want it bad enough, you'll be willing to only sleep for 4 hours a night and whatever. And it is quite toxic unless you recognize that you need to have your work time, be productive, work hard, cool, but also be a human.
Yeah, and I think which is the most important learning from that. It's you need to learn what's good for you and what's help you revitalize, rest. By example, for me, going into the gym, performing to the gym, going to the box, it rests my mind, it rests my body. I'm feeling great, and I can do it again better. And I think you have to understand how you work. Like I take the example of sport. For me, it was gym, but for some people, it's going to see their family. It's like spending time with their child. It's like spending time with their friend. I don't know. You just need to understand what makes you recover fast. And a lot of people say, you need some holidays or that. Holidays, 10 people can spend holidays in a different way. You just need to understand in what way you will spend this time to feel good and feel happy.
Nice, man. Yeah, it sounds really healthy to know that as you're trying to build a team, because also you're responsible for other people long term. Like, it's, if you can't look after yourself, how are you going to look after other people? It's like a
100%.
cliche thing, but
so true. If you don't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of you?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And also, like, talking about what you talked about at the start, by trying to be, someone that's a role model, that's trying to lead people in the space, like, that starts with your immediate team. And if you don't go to the gym and if you don't look after your body, and you're not going to be able to work sustainably, then how the hell are they going to do that, right? So exactly. So true.
And especially into our market, we work on we are like a remote teamwork. So and we work on computer. We work on tools who are user friendly, UI cool. Like, it's really easy to spend hours and hours and hours on Figma or Webflow. It's really easy. And so you have to be we really believe into the box model, and to learn to teach our team and to share with them how to schedule your day, box your day, and taking really important time for yourself to just keep reaching your overall goal. And I think I messed on that personally. I talk more about myself right now at the beginning, but I have learned a lot first, and right now I'm really and it's important, but because also right now when I'm going into my boxing session, each session I'm feeling that as a bless. I'm like, today I have the opportunity to train. And I've missed that so much that right now I appreciate it in different taste, because I'm like, look, you forget when you forget when you mess that, when you're missing that. Right now you are lucky, Florian, because you can spend your time into the gym. You can do whatever you want. You are happy to wake up, growing Digidop and everything. And I think it's really important to remind you, which is good, what is good for you, and why you're doing it. Yeah, I think.
Love that. Beautiful answer, and I feel inspired. I'm going to go to the gym after this. I'm going to do it, guys.
Okay. And we talk about content at the beginning, and right now we just decided a few months ago, and we just start releasing some stuff around it. If you see the Digidop video, it was the introduction, to include sports into our communication, and we just start doing content around sports, just to show people we can spend a lot of time on Webflow, we can spend a lot of time on web design, but we can also be you can be sportive, like a lot of people have this cliche, like you are a geeky guy, so because you are a geeky guy you don't do sports. Totally false, like you can do both.
Yeah, you can be a geek that beats people up.
Yeah, and so
I
that's
mean,
why we start doing content around it, because we think like content is powerful to inspire and to show, lead by example once again. So yeah, on our YouTube channel we start like releasing some content about it, about how we feed ourselves, how we like schedule our time, how like just dive into our sport journey too.
beautiful stuff. Très belle, as they say in French GCSE. The final question is actually going to be a little bit spicy. What is your next failure going to be?
Whoa.
Well, that's a deep exhale.
Yeah, I'm trying to self asset at maximum. I think it's a really hard question. Do you know yours?
I know mine every day, Florian.
Because yeah, I have the feeling like like it's really hard to, because first I think when you do something you have to believe in yourself. Maybe it will be a failure, like you will fail for sure, but you have to believe, okay, I can do that, I will try my best to do it. And so I think you still don't know it will be a failure, and it will come. Maybe, probably. So maybe it will be like this afternoon, but I think since the failure doesn't happen, you have to believe in yourself, be sure like you can do it. Let me just take an example, like I'm practicing a lot of boxing, I'm practicing Muay Thai, and my coach always tell me like, you have to, when you go into the ring, you have to believe in yourself 100%. You can't go into fight a guy if you don't believe you can win, like it makes no sense to go to fight someone if you don't think, yeah, I can win, or I can beat this guy. But maybe you will fail, but you still don't know. And I think first you have to go into it. Don't be scared to fail. I don't know which will be my next failure. Maybe you can invite me into the podcast in the next episode and I will say this was my next one. You know what? I will write my next failure on Twitter. Like, this is the day we are like today 1 p.m. and my next failure I will write them and I will release it publicly on Twitter, tagging you, Jack.
Yeah, I'd be intrigued to see it. Might be like, I said I would win that next fight. Well, I didn't win. No, but I think your outlook is, a really, really important idea, which is like, look, I don't really want to think about what my next failure is. I want to think about what my next challenge is and how I'm going to approach that so that I have the best chance of success. And it's probably why you're as successful as you are at this very young age in a very competitive space and doing all the amazing stuff you're doing. So thank you for coming on here and sharing all the vulnerabilities that you've had along the way, but also shared some really, really important nuggets of wisdom too.
Thank you for the invitation, Jack. It was really great talking with you. And, I really love the energy you put into it. I just want to add that you will see if you let it or not. But, I think it's really, really, like, first, I really appreciate the content, but also like the way you're organizing it. Like, for someone who want to go into the Webflail podcast next, like just go into it. Don't be afraid to go. Like you are really, it's really well built. Like the mail you send, the Loom video, like the question you asked before, it was really well organized, and we feel really comfortable into going into it. And you have like so much like the right energy. You put like, I think, the right mood to go into it and to really feel comfortable to share things, having this open talk. So yeah, I think it's important for everyone who want to share some stuff, want to exchange with you. It's like a really, really easy things to do. Like you built it in a very, very good way. And I'm inspired by that. And we start doing like some live content on YouTube. And maybe we have some stuff to take from your organization, which I really appreciate.
Oh, awesome, dude. Appreciate it too. That's really kind of you to say. Well, yeah, I mean, basically Florian said it all. I'm the best person he knows. So no, I'm going to end the podcast there. But thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Jack. Bye-bye.